was talking about intellectual property and the effects on development, and I was highlighting the difficulty of making policy in many developing countries where the economic evidence is very sparse and they are being told really to do what we do in Europe and North America as if that's going to transform their economies. The reality is that the effects of patent and other monopolies relating to health and agriculture are likely not to help development and in some respects to be harmful, because these countries are really consumers as opposed to owners.
So what I found interesting about Graham's comment was that he said, well, the IP system works well for my own country, but I'm really what I think is a very, very bad development is the imposition of IP systems, or our IP system, on other countries.
I've done some project work in a number of developing countries. In Zambia, which is the least developed country, in Ghana in Africa, Peru in Latin America. The idea was to help them to develop their national policy in intellectual property, and also to actually help them to draft their laws. Now, the difficulty was that there's a general lack of awareness in the country of how intellectual property can actually benefit them.
I could only agree with him to a large extent, but what I did was I gave another example of a group of countries in the East African countries, of the East African community, where countries which were really keen on developing an IP system which will suit their national needs, their own developmental needs.
The consequences are potentially quite serious in terms of public health, because these countries are having to allow medicines to be patented. These are legal monopolies on medicines, and legal monopolies can be used as means to restrict competition, which would lower the price. So a single supplier is likely to mean a high price. In terms of agriculture, legal monopolies, again, on things like plant varieties can also have an effect of restricting access or making access expensive.
The pressure on those countries too, which comes from bilateral and multilateral treaties which those states have ratified, the pressure on those states is huge to comply with the international IP system.
There's a good question from a gentleman from the Foreign Ministry who here in the Netherlands, who said, well, you know, if you could look into the future, which direction are we going? Are we moving towards harmonisation of patent rights at a very high level, the United States and Europe? Is it just going to get ever higher in standards, stronger and stronger? Or might we be going the other way? And I suggested that where those countries that are already at the present time, you know, at the top of the tree, if they start to find that they are granting rights to foreigners more than they are granting rights to local firms, they may start to shift their position.
We don't know what the effects are of patents, what the effect is on the accessibility of medicines. And that is one of the points I think there need to be more awareness and more knowledge.
Now, intellectual property rules, which are part of the whole world trade system, have already been proven to raise some severe difficulties in areas of particularly of public health, but also education as well, in terms of copyright. So I think it's a very good thing that people like me show to people who specialise in development, whether they're studying it or actually as practitioners going into the field. I'm sure it must be helpful for people like me to say, look, this is relevant to what you do, because it affects people's everyday lives, and that's really important.